Alright, and welcome. I have another nice video. This is going to reveal another paradigm for everybody. Alright, so here we go. This is... Some people are probably going to understand this easier than others, but... Alright, so here it is. Oop. Okay, now check it out, everybody. Nothing. Okay, so here we have nothing. Same thing over here, nothing. Same thing down here, nothing. Alright. Right here, what we have, this loops back around. Infinite. So, just to make it more evident for some people, I'm going to just show people so they can understand. And then, same thing here. It loops back around. It loops back around. Alright, so here's what everybody's wondering. God has no beginning, no end. That's him right here in the middle of this line. Alright? He's infinite. He has no beginning, no end. So his beginning just is infinite, loops back around infinitely. His end is infinitely. No beginning, no end. Alright? You can think of it like a conveyor belt, whatever. Think of it like a line. So the whole revelation of God is this: nothing exists outside of God. All right. So notice how everything right here in the middle, that's God. He is infinite, no beginning, no end. All right. Now, nothing exists outside of God. So there it is. There's infinite no beginning, infinite no end. So nothing loops around infinitely around God because nothing exists outside of him. So outside of God, there is nothing. All right? That's what space is. That's why all that nothing is, all that empty space, that's nothing because it exists outside of God. Everything that exists, and here's evidence that we know that there's a God, because that's the most important part of the formula. If you can understand that God exists in this formula, it'll all make sense. But see, the thing is, there is no evidence that there is not a God, okay? Because if there's any evidence, the most concrete evidence you're going to look for that there isn't a God is you're going to look for nothing, okay? Not anything. That's how you'll have evidence, all right? So you're looking at everything every time you blink your eyes, all right? And everything goes more and more complex, but that doesn't even matter that it even goes more complex. It could even been as basic could have ever been. That's still something. So it's anything. If there's even one twig. Oh shit, what the fuck is this? Alright, so yeah, anything, if there's anything that exists. So, take for example this YouTube website, anything, fucking a monitor, a store, the grass, the sun, the sky, the fuck, Anything that is a thing, a word, a thought, an idea, that's something. That's evidence that there's a possibility that there's going to be a God. Because if there's any evidence that there's a God, something will exist because he is the creator of all things. Think about it. It's all it can all be understood as a simple uh, phrase or um, you know figurative idea if you really think about it. So nothing exists outside of God. All right. So there's infinite space. That's what that means. That the piece of paper that God can write with and draw with, it's infinite. There is infinite amount. It doesn't matter where he puts something on out into nothing because there's infinite space, and he's the one who knows the origin of all the locations of where he's gonna put everything. So our universe, it's in the middle of nothing. All right, so it doesn't need to have an origin because God knows the origin of where he puts everything in the middle of nothing. So there's infinite nothing. He can make bazillion universes because there's infinite nothing. Because nothing exists outside of God. Infinite nothing. That means infinite space exists outside of God. All right? So the other way most people are normally looking at it is nothing exist outside of God. So they're thinking that there's nothing, but they're forgetting that God is already something that always existed, and they forget that God rules over nothing. See, it's gonna be one way or the other. Nothing is either gonna rule over God, but that wouldn't make sense. How could nothing rule over God if God even is part of the formula? So the whole revelation, if God ever becomes part of the formula, it cancels out nothing. Nothing is not the one that is ruling over nothing. All right, so that's what most people are always wondering is nothing rules over nothing. Well, that isn't true because God rules over all of nothing. All right, he created all things. Why do you think he knows all things? It's because he has no beginning. All right, everything that he knows is infinite. All right, it wraps around. All right, so nothing exists outside of God. Nothing can exist outside of God. All right, if there's no possible way something can exist outside of God because he is the one who brings all things into existence. That's the whole formula. See, that's the thing. If there wasn't God, though, there would never be any evidence. No one would ever know. So it's already infinite. The devil's trying to stop the creator from being who he is and being what it is, and it's just the way it is, man. Nothing exists outside of God. So the way it works is he creates all things, all right? So he there is infinite space. He rules over all space. That's what you have to understand. People are like thinking, "Oh, that nothing is ruled over." Well, if since there's a God, all of nothing is ruled over. All right, that's what confuses the shit out of everybody. All of nothing and all of all things is ruled over by God. It's just the evidence, and whenever you meet God, you won't need any more evidence. So just wait till you meet him. I mean, if you're so gun ho to needing more evidence, you act like you're never gonna meet him. It's gonna come back around. I mean, we're coming back around on the other side of the track. We're getting ready to finish the finish line, and we're gonna see it for ourselves the way God always wanted it to be. So yeah, that's the revelation. So down here, so think about it. Here, that's a representation of nothing. But this is a representation down here. Oops. Down here, this is a representation of nothing without God. So if there's no God and there's nothing, then there can't be anything, all right? There will never be anything without God, because He's the one who rules over all things. So the only way that there's going to be something is if it always exists, and if God always rules over nothing. See, if nothing ruled over God, it wouldn't work. God couldn't create nothing out of nothing. But since God actually always ruled over nothing, He is the ruler of all things. So He's always ruled over nothing. All right. So you got to remember, nothing is a thing. All right. So He rules over all things. Okay. So He's always ruled over nothing. He's always ruled over infinite amounts of space. He just creates everything so that it can exist in a normality. Because, dude, He knows all things. He knows that we want to exist. He knows everything, man. Don't doubt the guy, man. He knows more than me. You don't need to listen to me say it. Damn, this guy is fucking infinite. Why the fuck do you need to listen to me say it? This guy's fucking infinite.